This is a tricky question because the question is, which SEC team is hurt the most by the 9-game schedule? We're going to try to go straight into this. And why I say it's a tricky question is we don't know all of the answers yet. So let me just set it up and I'll throw to Ryan first on this deal. We have not been, it's not been confirmed by anybody yet, but everybody with a brain, anybody knows how television works, can see that the SEC is going to go to a non-conference game. They will almost certainly, but not guaranteed, get more money. That's the reason why they're going to a 9 game. You introduce Texas and Oklahoma, the divisions are gone. And so now we see who are the teams that are the most likely to be hurt by this. Let's remember we're going from a structured divisional situation where Alabama, Auburn, and LSU were in the West. Georgia, Florida, and Tennessee were in the East. So was Missouri. And the two champions of the divisions met for the championship. Alabama and Florida have played in the conference championship more than anybody else. Then Georgia, then LSU. So the cream of the crop, for the most part, has played. But that's going to be gone now. And here comes Texas and OU. We've got a 9-game schedule. Just off the bat, your reaction to who would be hurt the most, Ryan? Who does this hurt the most?
I mean, I don't think it hurts any of the traditional powers that much, no matter what Nick Saban came out and said.
Okay.
Which I have some thoughts about that, but
Well, go ahead. Go with your
well,
thoughts.
that's kind of what I'm thinking about more. Why does that he's complaining about who their 3 teams are? You play them every year anyway. Why is it? I don't see how much it changes. I I don't really understand like his where he's coming from because they didn't get a weaker team in their 3. You're going to play the weaker teams every year anyway.
All right. Matt,
So I
comments?
Well, I think it hurts Arkansas. Um, they have to recruit Oklahoma and Texas. The team's coming in, and if we're, each team has to play 3 teams every year, they could be playing Texas and Oklahoma every year. I think that would make sense. So
They will try to play Texas and Oklahoma if you're talking about Arkansas, but go ahead. Go ahead with your discussion.
I just think it makes things tougher
Matt's
in
zoning
the
out.
SEC West.
Yeah, give me a second, Matt. Why don't you go ahead with it's okay. It's okay. Restart your wireless, Matt. What he's saying there is, so let me lay this out for everybody just real quick. And I've talked about this a lot. And Matt, I will just throw your hand up and left and right when you're ready to roll again. Well, of course, he might have to come back in completely. Anyway, live. We're doing it live. The problem is the league is trying to do this in an equitable way, and they've sort of set up from behind the scenes. The notion is that there's a top 8 and a bottom 8, and Arkansas would be at the bottom 8. The top 8 is going to play one another twice. The bottom 8 is going to play one another twice, and there will be one crossover. In the scenario that Matt just laid out, it would be impossible for Texas and Oklahoma to both play Arkansas, because Texas is going to eat. I can't remember who Texas gets. They both get one another, and then Texas also eats A&M. Texas will get Arkansas. That's almost a certainty, and that's what it is. Because Texas gets Arkansas, no one else from the top can get Arkansas, which leaves Oklahoma with kind of a question. But the bottom is right there for them. Instead of Arkansas, they get Missouri. So I don't know, Matt, if you're ready to keep rolling here, but let me ask you this, Matt. Is Arkansas more likely to get to the SEC championship game as one of the league's top 2 teams playing every single season? They would play Mizzou, Carolina, and Texas, or would they be best in an SEC West scenario?
It might be the new scenario you laid out.
Right.
Won the West since what, 02 when they got shellacked by Georgia. That's the last time they won the West.
They won the West in 06. They lost to the Gators.
It's tough. It's really tough, but I think
no, it's just straight up frozen. So the question, Ryan, in the grand scheme of things, is does
that's a great shot.
what's that? He's
Just what he
locked.
looks
I
like right
can't.
now.
The viewers cannot see it. We're gonna get
I
this
seen him.
settled. The question though, at the end of the day, is how who does this benefit? Does this benefit at all any particular school?
I really don't think like just I've looked at it. The way you explained is the first time I kind of heard it said out loud in detail. I don't really think that it. I don't think it hurts or helps people in some drastic way. Like at the end of the
Mhm.
day, this is a tough conference that you're gonna have to play really good teams every year. You already did. So I mean,
Yeah,
the East schools a little more because
I
now
think that's
the
right.
West has always been better. It just has been for a while, just from top to bottom. And some of these East schools, like South Carolina or whoever, that think that they're close to getting over this hump to starting to compete. Well, now you've got to play some of these West schools a little bit more often. All of a sudden, you're playing in Oklahoma a little bit more often. You're playing in Alabama. So if anyone's getting hurt by it, I think it's the worst SEC schools.
Well, see, I would say it might be the best so-called the best SEC East schools because
You think like a Georgia and a
yeah,
Tennessee?
because think about Georgia's path and
Oh,
Florida's
yeah.
path. Yeah, they've had to beat each other. Now, you could make the argument that in the West, it's pretty much just been LSU and Alabama anyway, but you still have to deal with Auburn, which Georgia does anyway too. But the SEC championship, I think it should go without saying, won't matter as much as it once did because we're going to be in a situation where it will matter in a different way. It will matter a lot in terms of pride and all that. It will matter because you essentially will be the number one seed in the college football playoff. You won't play an extra game. Rather than going straight into the Sugar Bowl, as was years gone by the way it was, or rather than you going as a seed into the four team playoff, you're just going to be the one, and you're not going to have to play that extra game that the runner up certainly will. Um, if I'm not mistaken, the winner you have to be a winner of a conference to be one of the top four seeds. So that means that if you don't win that game, you're playing the extra game. Period. Um, I wonder if there will be times when it will be beneficial not to play in the SEC championship game. We heard that a lot this past year. Um, did we not when there was this discussion of Alabama possibly sneaking into the playoff and not playing in the playoff? I mean, they've done that before and won the national championship in 17. But if you're Florida and you're playing Georgia, Oklahoma, let's say you're playing Georgia, Oklahoma, and you know, I don't even know. Vanderbilt. No, it won't be Vanderbilt. Let's say you're the Gators and you play Georgia. We know they're going to play Georgia and probably Oklahoma. And the question is, who is the third from the bottom? And let's just say they give you Missouri or something like that. If you're Florida, does your journey, is it more difficult or is it the same or is it all relative now? Because of, I mean, Florida's going to be playing in Alabama every other year, if not every year, or it will be every other year in this case.
Yeah, I mean, when you say Oklahoma, we're getting the Oklahoma program
Florida.
that we saw the last 2 years, or the
Are
last
we
like
getting
year or so.
are
I
we getting
mean,
the
like
Florida? I mean,
then it
everybody
doesn't.
Florida Oklahoma sounds great until you realize they were both 6-7 or whatever this past
Yeah,
year.
Florida lost like their last 3 or 4 games this past season. Did they
Yeah,
not?
Florida is 12-14 in its last two seasons. It's the first
I
time they've
mean,
had back-to-back losing seasons since the 1970s. And let me just say this one last thing here, Ryan. Florida has had four losing seasons in the last 10 years. So, not great.
all of the. I mean, I think these are all kind of technicality. Like, if you're just looking into the very near future, I mean, Georgia's still up here, Bama's still up here, LSU is flirting with it, Texas might be flirting with it, Tennessee might. It's still the same, like, powers up at the top. You're going to have to win tough games either way. But, I mean, Florida and Oklahoma were just straight up not good football programs last year.
Right.
So is that bad that Florida has to play Oklahoma every year? I don't know, because we see how fast that those two programs can just lose a bunch of games.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Florida and LSU were so eager not to play one another, and now your grand prize if you're the Gator is you get every single season you have to go to Norman, Oklahoma, which is actually not horrible in the grand scheme of things. I've seen a lot of Oklahoma and it ain't great, but Norman is okay, and but you're gonna be flying to Oklahoma City to play every other year. I mean, I would not want that, but I wasn't complaining the last 15 years or whatever it's been the way that it looks right now like Georgia will get the Gators, Auburn, and South Carolina. They certainly will get Florida and Auburn. Question is, will they get Carolina and Kentucky? That's the question, and it makes way more sense on multiple levels for Tennessee and Kentucky to play and Georgia and South Carolina to play rather than Kentucky and Georgia playing and Tennessee and South Carolina playing. But anyway, that's another discussion for another time. Thanks for watching.